La última semana del mes pasado se celebró en Nueva York el Festival de Voces Internacionales del PEN, la Organización Mundial de Escritores. Tuve el placer de ser curadora del mismo con Jakob Orsart, director del festival, y puedo reportar, no sin alegría, que convocamos a 30 escritores mexicanos y mexiamericanos, porque nos propusimos que la mitad de los invitados fueran mexicanos, es decir, residentes de nuestra república, y la otra mitad fueran escritores nacidos o residentes de Norteamérica. Como nos propusimos también que la mitad fueran hombres y la mitad mujeres. Nos propusimos asimismo que no fueran escritores oficialistas y sí escritores talentosos. ¿Cómo nos salió el numerito? ¿Cómo fue recibido en Nueva York? Para preguntárselo, está del otro lado de la frontera, en Nueva York, Jakob Orsart, que le ha dado seguimiento a las reacciones a este festival. Hello, Jakob. Thank you for this conversation.
First of all, I have to apologize. I don't speak Spanish, but I promise a year from now I will.
Good.
I promise.
Good. Well, with the invasion of Mexicans to New York, you should.
And you definitely raised my appetite. Seriously. Yeah.
Why did PEN think about an international festival in which Mexico was the dominant country?
It was my idea. I'm the director of the festival, and the way how it works, years before the actual event, I just kind of like by reading and talking to people, I select a country. And I started this series 2 years ago. The first country, it was the region actually, Sub-Saharan Africa, because I saw that there are so many questions and so many unknown territories, what we needed to explore. And then while I was working on the Sub-Saharan project, I just viscerally knew that the next one had to be Mexico. Because, yeah, go ahead.
One year ago, you couldn't have guessed it, but thanks to Mr. Trump, the president of Mexico in New York and in America was now especially timely, right?
Yeah, totally. But don't forget, I'm an Eastern European gypsy. I'm a Hungarian gypsy, and my instincts are pretty strong. So I knew that something was buzzing in the air. I'm new here, relatively new here. I moved to New York 9 years ago. One of my first and stunning experiences were to see this army of enslaved peoples, always in the back of this life, culturally, socially, economically. So it was always in the back of my mind that what is this? In this glamorous, seemingly glamorous, beautiful, rich, open, free country, how this can happen? So to me, it was a pretty obvious move that we have to look into it.
Yeah, almost 11 million invisible Mexicans in America, in the supposedly most democratic country in the world that exports democracy and sometimes forces democracy on other countries.
Yeah, but regardless of how a group of immigrants are positioned, their cultural, economical, social impact is here. There is no politics who can deny that.
Yes.
We, the people, we, the citizens, are actually relating to that. So who cares what Trump or whatever politician has to say about this? It's actually integral part of our lives, and actually, to be absolutely precise, we are integral parts of one another's lives.
Yes, and just to be also precise, it's 11 million. We don't know exactly how many. Some say it's 6 million, some say it's 20 million. Trump says it's 20 million of these invisible Mexicans without documents. But there are 37 million who are already American citizens, which is amazing.
Yeah. No, and it's very important. It's important for this culture too, and for Mexico too. So
yes.
Remember when we first met in your apartment? I crystal clearly remember that meeting. We were sitting around, and in about half an hour, we came up with the subtitle of the festival, Renegotiating the Narrative.
Right.
renegotiating, so that we are able to frame, or we were able to frame it, that it's not only one, it's not a one-sided story. Each part, both parties are playing a big role in this game plan.
Exactly, and we're needing urgently on both sides a new narrative, because we're
Yeah.
still talking like we were talking in 2000. It's
Yeah.
completely different, the situation in Mexico and in America.
Yeah, and you know what's interesting? After the festival, what I learned that, yeah, that's one direction is obvious. Yeah, the U.S. has to embrace the other half of the story in terms of war on drugs, in terms of human trafficking, everything. But what's even more interesting, Mexico, how Mexico relates to this country. I mean, how this very inspiring, culturally rich country of yours can address some of the miseries of this country: loneliness, the lack of heart, the losing of the ability to love another person, how to address cultural heritage. This is what the U.S. can learn from Mexico, and this is your responsibility to teach the other part of this story, the other player of the story.
That's right. And what did you find out? What were the main subjects of the Mexican writers?
What I found out, or what were the main issues what we covered. We were talking about all walks of lives. So when I curated it, and I talked to you a lot during the curatorial process, we wanted to present a wide array of issues. This festival is always there to raise uncomfortable questions.
Right.
So yes, there were the obvious, the usual suspects: war on drugs, human trafficking. But we wanted to talk about the role of women in Mexican culture. We did a stunning event. Poetry, what does it entail? Contemporary poetry. Luis Felipe Fabre presented a lecture performance. He got a standing ovation. He got a standing ovation to talk about and introducing the Mexican poetry landscape. We talked about Mexico's role in Latin America,
right,
mostly politically, how this country should transform into a major player in this whole plan.
And also, what was really interesting for us, the Mexican writers, and I hope for the public in general, is the Mex-Americans. For example, Guillermo Gomez Peña, who is a dear friend of mine, but I haven't seen him in 20 years. What a personality, no?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
it's talking in Spanglish, a new language.
And using a totally approach to not just stage presence, but to literature. What entails literature? It's not a sacred field. It's actually it's a game. It's a tool what you can play with. And he was so entertaining and also surprisingly profound. Remember,
yes,
we were sitting next to each other at the New York Poetry Club,
yes,
New York Cafe, when he performed that computer game. It was stunning. No one could do that.
Yes, and how about, for example, Cristina Rivera Garza, that she's a Mexican, but she's been living all her life in America, and she's an expert in Mex-America.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to say that the audience, first of all, we got stunning audience, huge numbers. I just saw the numbers. Almost all of our events were sold out, which is a huge success, I have to say. And talking with the audience, and we actually did a survey already, we learned that people came, most of these invited guests were not known. And people actually came to learn more about Mexican contemporary literature and politics. And they walked away with names in their notebooks, let alone bought books whose books were already available. And what was also important, and that was my secret, I had a few secrets throughout the curatorial process, but one of my secrets were to present a cutting-edge contemporary Mexican mind, and it happened, and it was so liberating to see.
Tell me more about the feedback you're receiving of the American public. What was surprising for them?
Big surprise. That was the main, and that was what I was secretly hoping, because to be honest, Mexico is narrowed down to the darker narratives.
That's right, drugs.
the general cultural industry is trying to shy away, not dealing with the entirety of I know now, you're living in there, the entire richness of this culture, the publishing industry, theater, film. And that was the surprise that, God, this is not a minuscule nation trying hard to present itself, do something contemporary. They are actually breathing contemporary. It was Guadalupe Neto, Valeria Luiselli, Cristina Garza, Yuri Herrera. Who are these giants? I mean, it would be very hard to find equivalently talented U.S. American
You
contemporary.
think so?
Very hard.
Really?
Yeah.
Claudio Lobnitz. Wasn't Claudio Lobnitz completely amazing?
Yeah, he read an essay, and there was a silence in the room. People were glued to him reading his essays.
Yes,
so,
about death and culture.
Yeah, exactly.
We had this wonderful cabaret night. Half of the performers were Mexicans and half were Mex-Americans. Please tell us who were they?
I definitely wanted to do something on the cabaret side. It's I don't have to explain. Cabaret is one of the most relevant approaches to culture. It's ups and downs and the mixture of it. So I definitely wanted to do. So early on, I was suggested to meet with Tareke Ortiz. Tareke, who works in Mexico City, he's a performer. He also, I think, the artistic director of Cumbre Tajín, the festival. So I met him, and in about 1 hour, I decided that I'm going to ask him to help me to curate it. And then soon after, we met Reynas Chulas and Joey Arias from here, and then a couple of other performers, and an MC, a local MC from New York, Katie Halpern. And then together with Tarek and Katie, and of course, Reynas Chulas, we just put together this variety show on practically mocking the usual American approaches to Mexicans and a major misunderstanding and how ridiculous all are. And how funny most of these.
Yeah, how funny. We Mexicans are definitely funny. We should better be. What is the feedback you're receiving from the writers that attended? What are they sharing with you?
I'm not sure. I didn't ask Guadalupe to share it with you, but I have to say that she sent me a letter last week. And I also have to say that I left PEN since I finished the festival. I'm doing another project. So that was my last festival. Right. So it got me in a really emotional mode. She wrote me a letter one morning saying that, listen, Jakob, I forgot, I didn't want to mention it to you, but now I have to tell you this. I asked Guadalupe and some of you to write original texts for this. And she said that some of the texts that you asked us to write actually helped me to look at my country from a totally different angle.
That's
and
right.
I came home understanding my own country way better than I did before. I developed a deeper empathy with my beloved and complex country, and I just want to thank you that. And I was sitting here reading it right after I left this job, and it was it's bittersweet. Yes, that was my last festival, but we made it.
Yeah, we did made it. That's right.
Because that's the actual result, one of the results what we wanted to create.
Jacob, finally, where you are not in PEN now, where are you moving to?
I'm starting New York created a new job for me, Brooklyn, practically. Brooklyn, as you know, one of the biggest boroughs, millions of people living here, and they have a giant library system, the Brooklyn Public Library System, with 60 buildings and 1 million people attending.
Wow, yeah.
And they came up with this idea. They never had this role, an artistic director, a producer / artistic director. So they hired me, and my role is to bring in art to the entire system and project outside too, not just to Brooklyn, but to the outside world. What does it mean? What does the notion of the library mean now? What does the brand Brooklyn means? How it relates to New York and how it relates to the world?
Well, Jacobs, thank you for this conversation. I'll see you soon, I hope.
I hope.
Come
And
to
we have to
Mexico,
start.
or let's meet in New York.
I'd love to. Actually, I'm probably going to go in August for the Reinas Chulas Cabaret Festival.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I want to go.
Okay, good, good. Well, thank you very much. Very
Thanks so
interesting
much. Thank you.
and inspiring.
Congrats. Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye now.